Recertifications are automated processes designed to prompt someone to go into a particular scope and verify that certain settings remain accurate from when they were originally set. This typically is done over time, once a quarter, twice a year, maybe even once a year. In order to set up recertification profiles in Governance Automation, we log on and go into Settings. In Settings, in the Request Management category, out towards the right, we have Recertification Profile Management. In order to create a recertification profile to be attached to either a site collection or an Office 365 policy, up at the top left, we click Create. The first thing to do is to give the recertification a name, and then determine if it will work off of site collections or Office 365 group policies. Scrolling down, we then apply a category. Categories are just built-in metadata so that you can keep track of the different types of objects that you create. And then we choose the type of recertifications we want to enable within this particular profile. Let's say that I want, once a quarter, folks to go in and make sure that the permissions for their SharePoint site collections remain accurate to when they set them. The logic here is that when you go in and you put things like permissions in place, they are quote-unquote permanent unless changed. Well, we know that people leave organizations all the time, so we want to make sure that every now and then, the owners of these sites are going in and making sure that their permissions remain accurate. They remain up to date. The only way to do that is to assign that to folks with the appropriate permissions within SharePoint to those scopes. And if we want to do this in a very automated way, the recertification profile will do that for us. When the appropriate time comes, it will trigger a task within Governance Automation, collect all the permissions, and notify the appropriate people who have the appropriate permissions within that particular scope. And then they will be able to go through, review all the permissions, and say, this is right, that's wrong. And then when they're finished, it will update those permissions accordingly. When I select Permission Recertification, scroll down, there's some additional choices, including specify a duration. If I check that off, if we scroll down a little further, that enables this checkbox to automatically lock the appropriate scope if the recertification is not actually carried out. If that's not something that you want to have happen, well, you simply leave that box clear. You can also exclude certain permission levels. If, for instance, you don't care about anyone who has read access because they can't make changes anyway, you could say, we're not going to worry about read. If this is for site collections that potentially contain sensitive information, you would probably want people to verify all permissions though. So I would leave that box cleared and then clear that one as well. Below that, how often do I want this to run? We could say once every 3 months, and then attach an approval process to it. Now, in addition to permission recertifications, we also have metadata, ownership, and conditional recertifications as choices as well. You get some descriptions of those over here on the left, and please read the Governance Automation User Guide for more details. Scrolling down, I have to have an administrative contact, someone essentially on the admin side that is connected to, that manages this recertification profile. That way, if the recertification seems to not be working properly or we want to change something about it, we know who to reach out to. And if everything looks good, now up at the top I can click Save. There is the brand new recertification profile. And now I could close out of this window and then go to my menu into Policy Manager and attach that recertification profile either to existing site collection profiles by editing them or creating new profiles. And either way, when you create new site collections leveraging those profiles, they will automatically have those tasks generated once every 3 months to verify that the permissions remain accurate. Thanks for watching this short video on creating recertification profiles in Governance Automation.